With over 11,000 games currently available for the Nintendo Switch, only 5,000 of those being, special games, it gets pretty daunting to even navigate the Nintendo eShop sometimes. If you're tired of ruining your family get-togethers with Mario Kart or Mario Party, what's your problem, Mario mate? Here are some hidden gems on the Switch you should be checking out instead. Natural segue time. If you want to check out a hidden gem of a channel, be sure to go and subscribe to Vault, which is where you can find stuff like playthrough videos, unboxings, and more from us.
Alright.
Released to multiple platforms to annoyingly very little fanfare, the Big Con just didn't seem to reach many people. It has only 2 reviews on Metacritic, both of which are pretty complimentary overall. Did this coming-of-age narrative centered around 90s nostalgia and some casual puzzle and adventure game elements simply fall under the radar? That seems to be the case, but it shouldn't, cause it's big fun. The Big Con has you playing as Ali, doing whatever she can to get her mum's video store out of debt, dropping you into what feels like a lost episode of a forgotten 90s cartoon. The bright, distinct graphics are obviously one of the big draws here. The Big Con wants its story and world building to evoke some fond memories of the decade, and it will have you ringing up your enemies on massive phones and telling them to eat your shorts before long. If you have enough credit, that is. Simply put, the Big Con is a big treat. We love Ali and we love the people she meets and steals from. Yes, much of your time here will be spent pickpocketing people, in an affable way, obviously, engaging in larger quests that will introduce you to weird little freakazoids, and doing whatever you can to fleece as many people as possible. But sometimes crime is kinda good actually. What can we say? This next game has like 90 to 95% less crime in it though. It doesn't get much cozier than Snufkin Melody of Moomin Valley, which combines very light puzzling and stealth elements for a game that's more of a narrative-driven adventure in the iconic Moomin Valley. The game has received mostly good reviews, and Melody of Moomin Valley is a breezy playthrough that most kids or adults will enjoy and complete in a few hours at most, but there's a lot of fun to be had here in that time. Assuming the role of Snufkin, a wanderer, explorer, playboy, philosopher, players will find that their friend Moomin Troll is missing. Worse, the stunning Moomin Valley itself has become infested with grotesque parts controlled by the well-meaning but destructive and arrogant park keeper. Snufkin will interact with a massive cast of quirky characters, all taken from the legendary novels by Tove Jansson, as he works to undo the damage and restore harmony and balance to the valley. How do you achieve this? Through stealth missions that involve tearing down the parks, solving puzzles and fetch quests with your array of musical instruments, and by sometimes taking a moment to help someone in need. Snufkin Melody of Moomin Valley has smooth gameplay, extremely charming dialogue, and a larger message that's as sincere as it is effective. Also, it's just cute as balls. Ocho isn't a game for those who got sick of Groundhog Day after like 15 minutes of seeing Bill Murray's face, somehow. While this twin-stick shooter from Lateralis is absolutely brutal, one of the most unforgiving examples of this genre that we've seen in quite some time, that doesn't mean it's a bad game. I mean, it's got bullet time in it. Game of the Year, every year, confirmed. Ocho is a top-down roguelike that's set in a grimy, surreal world of black and white visuals and hardcore violence. Trapped in a bizarre mansion, you must bullet time your way through floor after floor of vicious bad dudes. If you're looking for a good bloody old time, Ocho is going to satisfy you, particularly if you love Hotline Miami and roguelikes, as you can actually change things up between runs with upgrades. While the game might be a bit niche and perhaps a bit too challenging for some to really unwind with, anyone seeking a game that feels like a continuation of the mayhem of Hotline Miami is gonna vibe with this one. It's also got a touch of The Prisoner about it too.
It's made out of toilet paper rolls, toothpicks, and plastic forks.
And while we're here, go play Ruiner. That game rules. There aren't too many games set in turn of the 20th century Taiwan, FIFA 95 being one of those rare examples, but ones that embrace bold comic art style graphics in a side-scrolling beat-em-up is even a bit more niche, so maybe The Legend of Tianding is just a bit too niche for its own good. If so, that's just a shame really, because this is a game that anyone who enjoys comic book art and or brawlers is going to have a really good damn time with. Authentic backdrops do an excellent job of recreating Taipei, giving you sights and sounds that simply don't exist in quite this form anywhere else. It also doesn't hurt the appeal of The Legend of Tianding that its mechanics, with players taking on the role of infamous outlaw Liao Tianding, are absolutely stellar. Players will traverse a range of stages, disarming hordes of enemies and using their weapons against them before meeting up with a final stage boss for a showdown. Well, yeah, none of that is groundbreaking. The Legend of Tianding gets its true originality from its story and characters, and from an approach to combat that comes down to utilising just about everything under the sun as a weapon. This is one of the best beat-em-ups of the 2020s, and it stands just fine on its own alongside better known titles like River City Girls and Shifu. If you want more games where the environment is your weapon, check out Bloodroot. It beat my arse, but I did not mind. Chained Echoes is one of the least known recent retro-inspired RPGs despite a ton of reviews. This just doesn't seem to be a game that many people are talking about anymore, and that's a shame, most of all for anyone who considers themselves to be a fan of classic JRPGs, particularly those from the SNES era. Chained Echoes brings plenty of strategy into not only battles, but in how you use your gear and the gemstones that can give you some impressive added abilities. You're buying skills from special stones as opposed to traditional leveling up, and that's just one of the ways Chained Echoes feels as fresh as it does, atmospherically and nostalgic. Everything about Chained Echoes is centered around reminding you of the best elements of its genre. The developer Matthias Linder began work on this game almost a decade ago, and you can tell how much love has been poured into this 30+ hour RPG. The graphics are a real trip back to an earlier era of gaming, but what really matters is how masterfully Chained Echoes develops its story and characters, with a unique progression and combat system that replenishes your HP and TP after every battle. It's a fun game with a tough final act, and one that more people should try out. Don't fight it. Rage. From the moment this game introduces itself by way of the image of an old arcade cabinet suddenly jolting to life, Fight and Rage tells you exactly what to expect. There have been some fantastic retro-style brawlers released along the lifespan of the Switch, including Streets of Rage 4, The Takeover, and TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Oh, what a whipper, by the way. And these games have all received the fanfare they deserve. However, if you like all of those games, Fight and Rage is jammed with features and creative touches from the best things to take away from 80s and 90s beat-em-up classics, and it deserves more players. There's tons of visual appeal to the game's stages, unique character designs, branching paths, alternate endings, a tough arcade mode, and much more. Fight and Rage knows it has to present its own unique depth in gameplay and challenge, with the game providing pretty wild potential within an array of simple basic attacks, grabs, ground and aerial art specials, and more. Fight and Rage is exceedingly easy to pick up and play, but there's a lot more to it if you hang around. Sebastian Garcia's game, who both designed and developed Fight and Rage entirely by himself, goes to admirable length to ensure you will stick around. Extra points for calling the female character Gal. They just don't make characters' names as descriptive as this anymore, do they? Also, while we're talking very obvious homages to gaming's past, I don't think enough people played Hunt Down. Honestly, that thing was basically like someone just remade a Genesis game. Oh, so good. So good. Bear and Breakfast looks as whimsical as a Wes Anderson movie, and it even has Bill Murray in it too. However, the game may just look a bit too cozy and cartoonish for some, with graphics that are bright and warm, a sweet protagonist in Hank, a bear who must open a bed and breakfast, and management tasks that never rise to the level of serious difficulty. But you'd be wrong to ignore Bear and Breakfast, because at the surface it may not look very deep. There's a lot to like in this game that sees you building up your business through building, decorating and managing your hotel properties from day to day. Also, you're a bear. Just to reiterate, you're a bear with a dream. The gameplay itself is more involved and engaging than you might think. Bear and Breakfast requires not only building and designing, but establishing relationships with the large cast of quirky characters who meet along the way. Bear and Breakfast may feature likeable characters like Hank, but its story has unexpected depth, blending whimsy with some occasional darker beats that serve to draw you in deeper to this world. That's really where this game shines. The gameplay is breezy and decently varied, with fetch quests and a grab bag of management challenges, but the story and dialogue are the real stars. Who was your favourite wrestling superstar of the 80s, and why is the answer pork, chop, cash? Marrying RPG mechanics to the world of pro wrestling is an intriguing idea. Done right, and it could be an essential play for both wrestling and RPG fans alike. Then let's be honest, there's a lot of crossover there. WrestleQuest is a good-natured tribute to all things retro, and while not perfect, it deserves far more attention and reviews than the game has been getting so far. It's crazy that at time of writing, WrestleQuest has generated very little love or attention from critics or, well, players. Surprisingly wholesome, with the story being that a chest full of toys has become utterly obsessed with professional wrestling, WrestleQuest definitely requires some appreciation for one or both of its major parts. Playing as one of two toys dreaming of a successful pro wrestling career is up to you to navigate a story that feels like Toy Story met with the aesthetics of 80s wrestling and 90s JRPGs. Timed inputs for even the most basic attacks can get a little frustrating, but the mechanics are easy enough to understand in a short amount of time. Just prepare yourself for a substantial difficulty spike near the middle point of the game, with turn-based combat getting a little rough. Again, while it might be a little niche with a few harsh edges, there's a truly fun RPG experience with beautiful pixelated graphics waiting for the curious in WrestleQuest. It's well worth a look, especially for those who grew up praying their vitamins, or whatever the saying is. I don't know, I'm still thinking about pork chop cash, honestly. Does beef stew Barry exist? Chicken wing Charlie? So many questions. In Melatonin, it's up to you to understand the bizarre dreams of an insomniac. You're going to do this through a pastel-toned rhythm game that may remind some of you of Rhythm Heaven in the best ways possible. This is another game on the Switch that promises a laid-back experience without sacrificing gameplay that provides a pretty decent challenge. Experienced rhythm players may find Melatonin a little easy, but even then the atmosphere and style of this game is so charming, you'll just keep going anyway. Everyone else may find the learning curve to be a bit steep. I suck at it, but there's a lot here to convince you it's worth playing further. Melatonin has the premise and gameplay, but what about this landscape of dreams you're meant to explore? Melatonin has some pretty surreal scenes and moments, with everything from pink skies to flying boxes of donuts to dreams about shopping, money, work and other facets of life. Every single minigame here looks like something you've never seen before in a game. While Melatonin doesn't have much in the way of a story, its immersive pastel richness and gameplay is more than enough to give it a play. It's pretty easy to stay awake with this dream of a game. Also, Melatonin, really good song by Silversun Pickups, go give that a listen. Cultured Vultures music reviews when? Never. Never. Have you ever been convicted of fashion crimes before? I haven't, but personally I believe anyone who wears socks with sandals should be left in a fridge in the woods for a week during winter with only the afterglow of the bonfire filled with their footed misties to keep them warm. Sorry, I went somewhere then. Anyway, loads of people have done fashion crimes in Fashion Police Squad, and now it's up to you to grab your belt of justice and unsack the jeans of those who would make your beautiful city just a little less flashy. A retro FPS in the vein of Doom, with there even being a blatant reference to Archviles for good measure. Very nice. Fashion Police Squad has you blasting away those fashion faux pas into fashion, oh yas. It's a seriously daft boomer shooter with a lot of love for the classics that doesn't take itself too seriously, and neither should you really. You'll have to use the right tool to fix the wrong fashion crimes, and while it isn't quite as complex as something like Doom Eternal, with it admittedly getting kinda repetitive pretty quickly, Fashion Squad's funny references and nice style see it through. Dip in for a few hours of fun, laugh at all the silly little outfits, and remember that those who wear socks with sandals are the furthest of us from God's light. Also check out Proteus and Dusk, both pretty good, not quite hidden gems but really good fun on the Switch as well. And that was our video looking at just some of the Switch hidden gems that you should be checking out. I realised as I was recording this that Beat 'em Ups has done about 6,000 of these videos, so I hope I haven't crossed streams, but anyway, I hope you found something that you've never seen before on here. Let me know down below if you have. I've been Jimmy for Cultured Vultures, and thank you for watching and not wearing socks and sandals, unless